Welcome into a Top 5 Tuesday edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton alongside Wade Neely. Going to take you through the next couple of hours of local, regional, and national sports as we do every day from 2 to 4 p.m., some combination of me, Wade, and Chris. Today it's just the two of us. Wade, what's up?
Just the two of us.
Yeah, something like that.
Man, things are good. The sun is out. The sun is shining. And I know this is fall, spring, but it certainly feels like spring. But I'm going to enjoy it while we got it. So,
there we go, man.
Things are good.
I think that's the thing to do, is enjoy it while it's here. I was listening to my favorite meteorologist, Bree Smith, who is back from an extended absence on News Channel 5. And she was saying we're going to threaten 80 by the end of the week.
Ooh.
And I'm here for it.
Yep. Sign me up for that. Should be a good rest of the week. And, I mean, Punxsutawney Phil did tell us, spring was supposed to come a little early. So maybe he was right. Maybe he's on to something this year.
I'll take it. I will absolutely take it. We got a big show today. Going to visit in the 3 o'clock hour, as we do virtually every Tuesday, with the Blue Raider voice, Chip Walters, as he gets ready to pack up and head to Huntsville. I guess he's still in Murfreesboro at this point. But we're going to check in with him as he gets ready for the Conference USA basketball tournaments down there, both the men and the women, and lets us know what else is going on in the world of Middle Tennessee State athletics. We will be chatting later this hour with our friend NUBYJAS WILBORN, who covers the Titans for SI.com, and hopefully he can get us up to date on who's here and who's gone. We certainly know of one person who's apparently gone, and a little heartbreaking, but if you were really paying attention, it's not a great shock, but we'll get into that more later in the show. Also going to talk a little high school hoops again. Headed back to Murfreesboro tomorrow for week 2 at the Glass House. The boys basketball state tournament starts up with Class 4A and Class 1A quarterfinals on Wednesday. Class 2A and Class 3A quarterfinals on Thursday. Semis Friday, championship Saturday. We will be talking about some of that. And college hoops. All-America teams are starting to come out, and we'll be talking a little bit about at least one of those. And this week's Associated Press Top 25 for men and women. And, teams are starting to make their way into the NCAA bracket, which will be announced this weekend. And a couple of championships decided last night, one in particular that we'll talk a little bit about. So a lot going on. Also, again, it's Top 5 Tuesday. Wade and I will be giving you our top 5 sports skirmishes. And as you've probably noticed, if you've been paying attention for any period of time, our top 5 is usually related to something that has taken place over the past few days leading up to Tuesday. And I'm sure you can kind of figure out the genesis of this one. So Wade and I will give you our top 5 sports skirmishes at the end of the show. So be thinking about yours. Shoot us a tweet or a text or whatever, and let us know what's a sports skirmish that pops into your mind when you hear the phrase. So
yeah, because we inevitably leave a little bit on the cutting room floor, right?
Oh, absolutely. There are some bones that there's more meat on than others. I think there's plenty on this one. So looking forward to yours and to sharing mine. But yeah, that's what today's show looks like. Wade, you ready to rock?
Let's do this thing.
Let's do it, as the great Tone Loke would say. Let's give you yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we begin the rundown with baseball scores, and we got a lot of them, so buckle up. Lawrence County defeated Ada, Oklahoma 8-1 yesterday. It was 7-2 CPA, a winner over Austin, Alabama. One-run ball game goes in favor of Maryville, 2-1 over BGA. Also 2-1, it was Blackman over Creekwood yesterday. Davidson Academy picked up an 8-4 win versus Brookwood, Alabama. Buckhorn, Alabama blanked Green Hill 4-0 your score there. Clarksville, a 6-1 winner versus Clarksville Academy. Henry County put up 10 runs, none for Clarksville Northeast. Nice shutout there for Henry County. Columbia with a 7-5 win over Dixon County. Culleoka wins a slugfest 13-10 versus Wayne County. Davidson Academy wins it 8-5 versus DeSoto Central. That's out of Mississippi. Good win for Davidson Academy there. 6-4 was the score as DCA knocked off Destin, Florida. Eagleville defeated Gordonsville by the count of 12-5. Spring Hill with a 1-0 win, low-scoring affair versus East Hickman last night. Sycamore 3, East Robertson 2. Zion Christian wins at 11-3 over Franklin Road Christian. Friendship Christian was a 4-0 winner versus Madison Academy, Alabama. And it was Greenbrier 3, Gallatin 2. Forest defeated Giles County last night. Tough start for the Bobcats as Forest got them, again, 8-3, your final there. Good Pasture 18, Clarksville Christian 1. Lipscomb Academy 7, Gulf Shore 0. Mount Pleasant puts up 16 runs, just 4 for Hampshire. Good win for the Tigers there. Harpeth 11, White House 3. Hillsboro 6, Hume Fogg 3. Independence was an 11-1 winner over Page. Watertown, well, 3 touchdowns worth, 1-0 over Jackson County yesterday. My goodness.
The bets were booming.
Booming for Watertown over, again, Jackson County yesterday. 17-0 as Lawson defeats Hunters Lane. Lebanon wins the Squeaker 7-5 versus Soddy Daisy. Loretto blanks the Middle Tennessee Monarchs. 10-0 was your final there. Madison Academy, Alabama 2, Lebanon 0. Shelbyville puts up 16 in a 16-5 win versus Central Magnet out of Murfreesboro. Nolensville 1-0 win versus Franklin. Wilson Central defeated Northside, Alabama. 8-2 was your score there. Final few baseball scores here. Coffee County 7, Oakland 3, Orange Beach, Alabama 10, Lawrence County 0, Middle Tennessee Christian 11, Providence Christian 0. One-run ball game as Ravenwood edged Brentwood 4-3. Cascade knocked off Richland 8-0. Riverdale, a 4-3 winner over Mount Juliet. Upperman took care of Smyrna 13-0. It was Hardin Valley 5, Summertown 0. Summit defeated Centennial 3-2. Station Camp, a 4-2 winner over Tullahoma. Columbia Academy wins it 8-2 versus the Webb School. Westminster Christian out of Alabama 16, BGA 1. White House Heritage wins a nail-biter 2-1 versus Portland. And final baseball score yesterday, Hillcrest, Alabama 1, Friendship Christian 0.
And Wade Neely gets the complete game shutout victory going the distance with the baseball scores from yesterday. Congratulations to
I need
him.
a fan, folks.
In softball action on Monday, Centennial with a 3-0 win over Bradley Central. It was Columbia Central 12, Hickman County 3. Zion Christian with a 10-0 shutout victory over Franklin Road Christian, in which South Alabama signee Ashlea Coble notched her 500th career strikeout. Congratulations to Ash in that one. Gallatin with an 8-3 win over Wilson Central. It was Gordonsville 3, Riverdale 0, Greenbrier 9, Joe Burns 8. Soddy Daisy with a 7-2 win over Lebanon. Mount Juliet edged Smyrna 6-5. Murfreesboro Central did not edge Laverne 22-4. The score there for the Lady Tigers. Oakland 9, Eagleville 1. Polk Prep with a 7-2 victory over McGavock. Manatee, Mississippi 2. Ravenwood 0. Richland with an 11-1 win over Mount Pleasant. Siegel Downs, Stewart's Creek 10-0. It was Summertown 14, Lenoir City 0. Summit 7, West Union Attendance Center, I believe that's out of Mississippi, 0. Summit also defeated Cleveland 9-4, and Walker Valley downed Ravenwood 5-2. On the pitch, Columbia Academy's boys with a 4-1 win over Agathos Classical. Coffee County blanked Middle Tennessee Christian 6-0. Also, Rockvale with a 9-0 win over Hickman County, and Ross View with a 9-0 win over White House. Boys, oh, go ahead, Wade.
Oh, sorry. I'll hop in here as
Go ahead.
boys basketball. These will be before we go on the air from Murphy Center tomorrow. 4A action. Maryville and Cookeville tip off the boys championship again at the Murphy Center. They begin at 9:30 tomorrow. Also, 4A action includes Brentwood versus Bartlett at 11 a.m. Rossview versus Morristown East at 12:45. Baseball baseball schedule coming your way. These are today now. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Today, yes. Today's games include, we'll go through these mostly in chronological order. Father Ryan at Brentwood Academy set for 4 p.m. Wilson Central will take on Madison County, Alabama at 4:30. Also at 4:30, Upper Men is at Rockvale. Lawrence County versus
I like that. Upper Vale
versus Upper Vale. Just combine them both. Why don't you? Lawrence County versus St. Michael Catholic. And then these games are at 5. Fairview at Culleoka. Harpeth at White House, 5:45. Springfield is at Greenbrier, 5:30. Went a lot of order there. I apologize, folks. Antioch versus Lawson at 6 o'clock. Santa Fe is at Huntland. Hampshire is at Mount Pleasant. Jackson County is at Watertown. Now we get into 6:30. Starting to creep on into the last little bit of sunlight here in the day. Creekwood at Clarksville. Laverne versus Coffee County. The Webb School is at Columbia Academy. Marshall County is at Loretto. Providence Christian at Middle Tennessee Christian. East Hickman at Spring Hill. Siegel at Stewart's Creek. And Richland at Zion Christian. And in the home stretch, 7 p.m. starts tonight. Dixon County at Riverdale. BGA versus Robertsdale, Alabama. Good Pasture is at Station Camp. East Robertson is at Sycamore. And Columbia is at Blackman.
Baseball games that are scheduled prior to our 2 o'clock airtime tomorrow. At 9, Lawrence County takes on Baldwin, Mississippi. Also at 9, it's Battleground Academy in Bing, Oklahoma. At 9, Oak Ridge and Green Hill play, followed by an 11:30 game for the Hawks of Green Hill as they take on Northside of Alabama. Also at 9 o'clock, East Nashville and Hume Fogg will play in the Mookie Betts Classic in Nashville. Also a 9 o'clock start for Wilson Central and Tuscaloosa County out of Alabama. Moving through the morning, 11:30, Lawrence County plays New Hope of Alabama at 12. Oh, wait a minute. Also a 9 o'clock game as Christ Presbyterian Academy takes on Tuscaloosa Central of Alabama. At 12 o'clock, it's Page at Independence. 2 o'clock starts for Summertown and Friendship Christian, as well as McGavock and Lawson. Let's see. Softball action today. 4 o'clock first pitches for Fairhope, Alabama and Centennial. For Hemley of Texas and Ravenwood. And for Davidson Academy and Summit. At 5, it's Columbia Central traveling over to Hohenwald, taking on Lewis County. Also at 5, Perry County visits Mount Pleasant. Spring Hill is at Shelbyville. At 5:30, Pope Prep goes to Station Camp. That's a short trip. Also at 5:30, it's Community at Murfreesboro Central. Cascade at Blackman. Clarksville Northwest is at Henry County. At 6, Centennial faces Lafayette of Alabama. Also at 6, East Hickman is at Culleoka. Columbia Academy travels to Eagleville. Middle Tennessee Christian is at Laverne. Fairhope of Alabama takes on Lebanon. Huntsville, Alabama takes on Ravenwood. At 7, it's the Lady Knights at Rockvale. And at 8 o'clock tonight, Lewisburg of Mississippi faces Lebanon.
Don't want a pot of coffee for the 8 o'clock start tonight.
Yeah.
As we wind down the stretch here, schedule for boys soccer. Independence is at Murfreesboro Central Magnet. That kickoff, these kickoffs are set for 5 o'clock. Clarksville Northwest at Springfield. Columbia Academy at the Webb School. Clarksville Academy will travel to Cheatham County for a 6 p.m. showdown. The rest of these 6 as well. Middle Tennessee Christian is at Community. Zion Christian at Dixon Academy. And Spring Hill at Nolensville. County at Culleoka. Do we got a county for that by chance?
We don't have a county that I'm aware of. Let me double check that.
Yeah, I'm going to do a
quick
come back cursory check here. Looks like that might be Hickman County.
That makes sense.
Could be. Don't hold us to that.
Yeah.
We're flying a little blind here, but county, either way, it's going to be a county school versus Culleoka at 6 p.m. tonight, but we think Hickman County. 7 o'clock kickoffs tonight. Clarksville at Beach, Shelbyville at Columbia, White House at Gallatin, Fairview is at Harpeth, Father Ryan is at Hendersonville. Greenbrier will travel to Hunters Lane this evening. Liberty Creek at Macon County. Oakland will host Smyrna. Riverdale will entertain Laverne tonight. And Stewart's Creek will host Siegel. And rounding out your boys' soccer schedule tonight will be Blackman at Wilson Central. Women's college basketball. Austin P is taking on Florida Gulf Coast. That is a 6 p.m. tip-off that can be seen on ESPN+. And in the NBA tonight, the Wizards are at the Grizzlies. Only a game a fan of either of those two teams, and I don't even know if the fans of those two teams could love that one. But the Wizards and the Grizzlies will get it on in Memphis tonight at 7, and you can see that game, folks, on Bally Sports South.
That's Florida Gulf Coast, not to be confused with Dunk City. I don't think the women have quite adapted that that nickname, but at any rate, that is your rundown. Today's top story brought to you, as always, by Piggly Wiggly over in Neelysville here in Columbia. Be sure and check them out for their delicious daily deli lunch specials, as well as their hand-cut meats, and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. So again, Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you our top story. And this one is kind of in Wade's wheelhouse a little bit. University of Tennessee Southern earlier today announced women's basketball coach Billy Evans is retiring after 6 seasons at the helm of the Firehawks/Redhawks. Led the 2020 team to a runner-up finish in the Southern States Athletic Conference. First league championship game for then Martin Methodist since 2018. Again, spent 6 seasons at UT Southern, previously coached at Mobile, or the University of Mobile, and is legendary in the Southern States Athletic Conference. So, Wade, enlighten us further on Coach Evans.
Yeah, Coach Billy Evans. This is one of those stories. You're kind of sad, but you're also happy, right? Coach Evans been a long time college basketball coach, and he's been around basketball forever. And I'm sad in the sense that he's not going to be around, and I don't think he's going to be hanging around Pulaski. I could be wrong, but he loves the Gulf, and I would imagine he's going to be heading back down that direction sooner than later. So certainly wishing him the best in retirement. And this is a move that kind of comes, and, you know, I'd kind of caught some chatter of this over the weekend, and UT puts it out officially today. And Coach Evans had kind of made some candid comments to some friends and a few of us over the weekend. He said he's had to work harder, which, think about this, in 20 plus years of coaching college basketball, he's had to work harder the last 3 years than he's ever had to work in his life. And he's unfortunately been met with maybe 3 of the worst seasons that he's had as UTS. They went 15-14 2 years ago. They went 6-22 last year. And then this year they went 7-19, 4-14 in the conference. So he's hanging it up, and he's a very practical guy. And I kind of had joked with you and Chris. I first encountered Billy Evans, and for those that have not had a chance to meet him or interact with him, he is a true throwback. And I had a chance to meet him for the first time. I was working the conference tournament a few years ago down in Montgomery, Alabama, and he was coaching Mobile at the time. Had some really good Mobile teams, some really fun offenses to watch. And his team is dominating the game, and there's a random nondescript call that just goes against him, and he doesn't yell at the refs, but he immediately turns around and looks right at the commissioner who's sitting close to me at the scorers table, and he says, "These are the best refs." He said, "You actually paid these guys to come down and ref this game?" So he didn't even yell at the refs. He yelled at the commissioner. And I said, "This guy's a dynamo." And
I don't blame them. I blame you. There we go.
Yeah,
I like it.
I loved him from the jump, and I called him the Steve Spurrier of the Southern States Athletic Conference. He's just a old school classic basketball coach, and he really I know the record has not been great the last several seasons for UTS, but he really did a solid. And this was when I was still working there, because we had a great coach before him by the name of Kyle Bent. And Coach Bent had taken the program to new heights, taken them to the national tournament for the first time, but he left in the middle of the summer. And we were in a scramble to try and find a replacement, and Jeff Bain said, "Hey, I think we've struck a pot of gold in the sense we have a veteran proven coach." And we hired him right before the 18-19 season. And at that time, he really, really bailed us out. And I thought it might've been just a 1 or 2 year situation, but the fact he stuck around 6 seasons and he really, really bought into the community. Like I said, very old school disciplinarian, but man, he loves his teams and he loves his girls. And they played hard for him every night. So I'm kind of sad in that regard to see him go, but I'm also obviously happy to see him go out on his terms in retirement.
Well, like you said, when you are nearing that R word and the last 3 years are the hardest you've worked in your career, that's probably not a situation that's conducive to continuing. So, do you feel like, Wade, I'm deferring to you because you've got a little insider knowledge of the inner workings of that program. I mean, do you feel like there's somebody on the staff that they might hand this thing off to, or you have any inklings of a direction that they may go in?
This is pure speculation on my part, so take that with a grain of salt. I don't have necessarily the ear of the administration like I used to per se, but I think 2 years ago, they had a slam dunk candidate in waiting, and it was one of Billy's former players by the name of Sydney Westry. She ends up going to Spring Hill, Alabama for a season, and now is at the University of Mobile, which is her alma mater, and has guided them in her very first year to the national tournament. And she is a young, I use the term dynamo, but I got to use it again. She is a firecracker, and all 5'2" of her, I think, maybe 5'4".
She does not work with posts, huh?
Yeah, she does not really. She would go against the post, though. She is a dogged defender, and she would have been a great heir apparent, but she's now kind of got a great situation back in her home town, her neck of the woods. So I don't necessarily know where they go. There has been some loose chatter that Coach Bent, who departed UT Southern, he went to Rogers State, which is in Oklahoma, a Division II school. There's some chatter that, he would be welcomed back on campus. And I think he would be welcomed by administration and the community alike. I don't know if that is a real possibility. I think he possibly would be open to it. And then I guess it just comes down to if the UT system is kind of open to it. Outside of that, I think they're going to have to get creative. This is a job that for the success the men's program has had over the years, they've really had kind of a revolving door of coaches, unfortunately, with the women's program. And so presumably you're thinking you're going to have to get a young, fiery head coach, or maybe get lucky with a guy like Kyle Bent coming back. So we shall see. Brandy Paul, the athletic director, I mean, this is kind of a big hire. That's one of your premier sports on campus. So she hopefully will be able to get that right, because I will say this, one final thing about this is they're back in the Southern States. And for those that don't follow NAIA basketball, that is a much easier conference than the conference they were in the last 3 seasons in the Mid-South. To give you some context, Mo, there are 7 Mid-South schools this year, and 5 of the 7 made the national tournament. And Bethel, which is in Tennessee, over in West Tennessee, they're a good program. They've been to many national tournaments. They went winless in the Mid-South this year. They had a bit of a down year, but they did not win a single game. So it is a murderer's row. But now you have a much easier path. So in turn, I think that should attract probably a bigger pool of candidates now.
Let me ask you this, Wade. Chris and I talked a little bit about this when the transition from Martin Methodist to UT Southern was made, felt like that might make recruiting a little easier. Has that been the case, do you feel like, or has that been anything that anybody has really addressed conclusively one way or the other?
Yeah, that's the great question. And that kind of was or is still the question, right? And I will say this, that a few key programs and few key coaches, that's been their main pitch. I know the golf program, especially, their coach is a guy named John Doherty. And that's his big selling point is, hey, you have a chance now to be a part of the UT system. And, that means a lot to some kids, the fact, you're not obviously playing in Knoxville. You're not even playing in Chattanooga or Martin, but the fact you're still going to get a UT diploma means a lot to some. Now, some coaches have kind of just continued. They didn't really recruit locally or regionally as much anyway. But I think it's got to help. It's just a question of kind of how each coach or each program kind of attacks that, I think.
Okay. All right. Hey, when we come back to the Lee Company Studios here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, we will be joined by Titans writer NUBYJAS WILBORN again. If you've not heard, there's some ugly vibes around Titans country right now, but hopefully NUBYJAS is going to give us a reason to believe when we come back. So stay with us after this break. Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
We thrive under the lights. a city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Welcome back to Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton, that's Wade Neely, and joining us now is Titans writer for Sports Illustrated, SI.com, NUBYJAS WILBORN, who is trying to keep up with the revolving doors out at St. Thomas Sports Park right now. NUBYJAS, what's up?
Man, trying to figure it out, brother. I appreciate y'all having me on, man. It has been a grind with free agency coming, free agency going. It's a lot, brother, but we here.
and I know this is your first off season with the Titans, but NUBYJAS, it feels like there's more movement this year, and I don't know if that's the first full season with Ran Carthon with the new coaching staff. I don't know if that's it. I don't know if it is more, but it feels like a lot more movement than we've seen in previous years with the Titans.
Well, and it's tough for me to gauge because, again, I'm still new, but I don't know how many times teams have 24 to 27 free agents. I think 24 unrestricted. I think 3 others were the EFRA thing, which I'm still learning all these terms and technicalities of the NFL. A lot of definitions you learn beyond the football field. Mm-hmm. But essentially, they got a group of guys who were all contracts coming up at the same time. Plus, depending on which site you believe, anywhere between $70 to $80 million in cap money to spend. So, yeah, there's going to be a little bit more movement than normal. Also, like we mentioned, getting a new coach staff, one of the things that Ran Carthon talked about with Brian Callahan coming in, hiring Denard Wilson at defensive coordinator, hiring Nick Holtz at offensive coordinator, and having all these other guys is that each position group going into the draft basically did these video mock-ups of what they believe an ideal player for their position group looks like, right? So each coaching position, linebackers, obviously offensive linemen, by the way, all the guys talk about how they were blown away by Bill Callahan's cut-up film of what a good offensive lineman comes back. And I talked to some guys who were in there who said, hey, I thought I had an idea of what offensive line play was and what offensive line play was. Oh, no, I didn't know ish until I saw Bill Callahan do his thing. Well, I would say there's a lot of new moving parts where maybe a guy who fans like, maybe the coaching staff doesn't like as much. Maybe a guy who's, let's say, 34 may not be as high on the new coaches list, even though he may have had the stats last year.
All right. So there we go. So this is kind of the tip of the iceberg in terms of changes that we're going to see probably then.
Well, I mean, they were 6-11 last year. And what was the record before? I mean, hey, man, you lose 11 football games in the NFL, there's going to be some changes, man. I mean, it's just kind of the way it is.
As Jerry Glanville once said, NFL means not for long, right?
Not for long, yes, sir.
If you're 6-11, that's certainly the case. But obviously, the news of today, NUBYJAS, Derrick Henry is officially no longer a Titan. Not only is he no longer a Titan, but apparently he is a Raven. 2 years, $16 million, with incentives pushing that perhaps to as much as $20 million. I mean, I'm not sure. He had to take that, right?
I mean, if you think about it, the man said he wanted to win a Super Bowl or at least compete for one, right? Now, while the NFL is designed for things to change quickly, I don't think the Titans are going to be a Super Bowl contender next year. Now, again, hey, there's still time in free agency. Who knows who they sign? Maybe they go out and fill the whole offensive line with some guys who, I don't know. I ain't going to say anything's impossible, but I think we could say it's not likely that the Titans are going to compete for a Super Bowl next year, probably the year after, based upon what we have on this roster today, okay? Now, who knows? Maybe they go out and at 7 draft Joe Alt, the offensive lineman for Notre Dame, and maybe he's the truth and he protects Will Levis so well that they springboard. Or maybe they get Rome Adunes, the receiver that everybody seems high on, and maybe he becomes this electrifying 1,500-yard a season receiver, and the Titans are lightning bolt into the Super Bowl. Is that likely? Probably not. My point of all this is Henry's at a point. He's over 30. We know what that is for running backs. We know what that means, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, he still had nearly had 1,200 yards behind a porous offensive line, if we can be honest, okay? So he still got it. He still got it. Now, he ain't who he was 5 years ago, but he's still better than, I would say, the majority of running backs. In an ideal world, he'd be a Titan for life. I think if the world were fair and not so cruel, he would be a Titan for life. He would break Eddie George's franchise record. He would get over 100 touchdowns as a Titan. He would do all these things, and the Titans also would eventually win a Super Bowl. In fantasy land, that's awesome. But in the real world, NFL, that's about as good as the deal Derrick Henry's going to get for a team with Lamar Jackson, who, by the way, let their running back go to the Chargers, Gus Edwards. So they had a hole. I think this is something that was brewing for a long time. According to Henry, the Ravens tried to trade for him during last season. So, you know, it is what it is, man. I mean, I'm sure the Titans probably didn't want to part with Henry, but do you want to pay him at that price at his age? Okay. And one thing I've also learned in any sport I've covered, the team you're with know a whole lot about you. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I'm not, listen, Derrick Henry obviously takes care of his body way better than I do, or even than any of us, you know, maybe not Wade, but you know, but for the rest of us, man, he definitely takes care of his body better than all of us. And he definitely takes care of himself, hasn't had a lot of injuries. So it could be fair to assume that he can stay healthy, but hey, man, over 30 is over 30, man, for running backs.
Right.
And I can see why the Titans moved on. It's unfortunate, but also I can see why he moved on. Because what if the Titans shown him, when's the last time they were in the playoffs? Was that 2020?
21.
Right? 2021, okay. Yeah. 3 years ago, right. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but 3 years ago, we were in quarantine still, man. So, I mean,
Ooh, thanks for reminding me. Yeah,
I'm
you're
just
right.
saying, like,
absolutely,
time moves fast and moves on, man. And Henry probably looked at the situation, probably like, man, y'all not going to Super Bowl no time soon. While I'm still at my powers, the Titans are like, hey, we probably shouldn't pay you this much. Consider you're getting old, and by the time we're ready to move, you might be too late. I mean, it's just what had to happen, man. It don't feel good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Me, is who I'm not a Titans fan. I write about the team, but just in the lore and history of sports, you would like to see a guy like Derrick Henry finish his career with one team and go out on as high a note possible. But that ain't the world we live in.
No, it's not. And it that seems that we particularly do not live in that world if you are a Titans follower. I mean, the list of Titans greats that did not get to conclude their careers as Titans is a pretty lengthy one. You know, you mentioned Eddie George.
Well, Steve McNair, for instance, right?
Steve McNair, Derek Mason, Keith Bullock. The list is, again, a lengthy one. And it just seems like, I mean, if you follow any other team, you probably have the same things. It's just that for Titans fans, it probably feels like, ugh, here we go again, you know?
Well, and I mean, and I can't blame him for feeling that way, but the reality of it's the league. I mean, think about it. Like Joe Montana didn't finish his career with the 49ers. I mean, you know, Matt Ryan, the Falcons didn't finish his career with the Falcons. I mean,
it's the reality of the league, like you said, and the sport.
It's the business of sports, man, and it's the part that none of us like, that doesn't feel good. And I would imagine if you're a Titans fan, again, I ain't been here long, but I know pretty quickly that there's a rivalry between the Titans and the Ravens. That goes back some time, okay? Mm-hmm. And goes back through playoff appearances. And unfortunately, the Titans ended up on the short end of the stick more often than not, from what I understand. Okay?
Yeah.
So, all that being said, I know it has to sting extra. But also, it's the business of sports. And I think that they got as good as they could do, reasonably speaking, with Tony Pollard. a guy who went over 1,000 yards, a guy who was more like the modern backs that we're looking at now. And one of the things I was talking to guys at the combine is a lot of teams going away from the big backs like Henry because, I mean, there's more of you, which means there's more of you to hit. And they absorb more punishment than the little guys who can kind of like duck and get small and do all that kind of stuff. So all these things are part of it.
Yeah, and NUBYJAS, we'll get back to the Titans in a second, but looking at Derek in Baltimore, realistically, I personally think, talking with some folks in Nashville, they still seem to think he's got a fair amount of juice left in the tank. And I guess my question is, what is a realistic maybe expectation for what could be a really explosive offense, obviously with Lamar running the show, but in crunch time in the playoffs last year, they kind of shied away from the run game down the stretch. So kind of where do you see 22 kind of fitting into that puzzle piece there?
I think he will do more than fine. If he's healthy, which I assume he is based upon the workout videos I've seen and based upon what I've heard about people who work out with him and around him, he's going to ball out, man. I mean, it just is. He's going to ball out, and he's going to take a lot of pressure off Lamar. That's going to be a totally different offense. I think they're going to be better. I mean, again, they went to the AFC Championship game last year, right?
And had to plug in. I mean, Edwards ended up being the guy, but they had to plug in 2 or 3 different running backs at times.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if you get a guy like Henry who's consistent and healthy, I mean, come on, man. Sky's the limit for him. Now, of course, when it's all said and done, there is that guy up there at Kansas City up there that wearing that old red uniform there. I don't think he's going anywhere. He is Michael Jordan on the gridiron, man. I'm sorry, he just is. But outside of that, I can't say the Ravens wouldn't be one of my favorites to go to the AFC Championship game based on what they already had and now adding Derrick Henry.
They're a solid number 2 for sure. NUBYJAS WILBORN with SI.com joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. As I said, bringing you in, NUBYJAS, give us some reason to hope, man, because obviously you've lost Derrick. You've lost Derrick Henry. You've lost Danico Autry to the Texans. You've lost Al-Shaair to the Texans. But you've brought in some intriguing pieces. You mentioned Tony Pollard, but you've also got Lloyd Cushenberry. We talked a little bit about him yesterday. The center from Denver, Kenneth Murray, the linebacker from the Chargers. I mean,
and Chidobe Aduzwe, the cornerback from the Bengals.
Yeah. So, what do you like about what they've done, and where do you think they go next?
Well, I guess we'll answer both questions. Like, what they lost, I mean, when you lose your top-rated tackler and your leader in sacks to your division rival, to a defense that was a pretty good defense last year with DeMeco Ryans, that's tough. But I think when they got a center, it's definitely upgrade over Aaron Brewer. When you have a center in Cushenberry who played every snap last year, only gave up 1 sack, didn't give up nearly as many pressures, whereas Brewer gave up 6 sacks, was undersized. So I think that's an upgrade because all quarterbacks hate that interior pressure, right? Especially up the middle. You can't do anything with that. So that's an upgrade. I think Chidobe Awuzie is better than any of the corners that the Titans had. You know what I'm saying? Including Fulton, who we'll see what happens with him over the next couple of days, and my man who left, right? So that's an upgrade. They still need more. I mean, I can't give a lot of hope yet because they need more, but they're off to a decent start. And the reality of it is, I say out of the 4, losing Autry probably hurts the most. Particularly you saw Jeffrey Simmons' reaction to it. Yeah, and that's a guy you don't really want to make upset for a lot of reasons. But you know, that's a tough blow. But I mean, look at what he got paid. And where the Titans going to match that considering all the other things they need.
All right.
Yeah, and I guess the question I have, NUBYJAS, as we kind of really kick this thing off, we've already obviously seen so many moves. Bigger priority for the Titans, going out and getting new guys or trying to hang on to 1 or 2 key guys that they haven't already potentially let slip through the cracks? in your
I
mind?
would say keep trying to get it new. I mean, because think about it. Look at the free agents. Look at the list of free agents. Who on that list would you say, ooh, man, things are going to be really bad without that guy? I mean, if you can name it, I'll take your word on it, but I don't think there's any one. I mean, what, Ryan Tannehill? I mean, you're not going to keep him anyway, right? I mean, what, Christian Fulton? We talked about him. I mean, some of those offensive linemen. I mean, who really on that list of guys from what you've seen of them play? It's like, man, boy, it's going to get real bleak if we don't have him. So I think getting new people, but also seeing what the coaching staff says about the guys they have, because, hey, maybe some of those offensive linemen, maybe they can get better under Bill Callahan, for instance. Maybe some of those DBs, Denard Wilson has an extended relationship. Maybe they can get better over him. Maybe a Westbrook Akine can get better with Tyke Tolbert as the wide receivers coach, right? Maybe. But I can't really think of anybody who's like, oh, man, dog, man, it's going to be real ugly if they don't have that guy. So I would say try to build with new people, try to keep what you can, and really try to get ready for the draft. Because I don't think they're going to spend all their money in free agency up front. They've already kind of hinted and said they're going to hold back a little bit of money because that's how they got DeAndre Hopkins last year. So remember, there are going to be some guys who are going to be late signees. Particularly, look at what these wide receivers are getting out here, like Darrell Mooney, who was on the Titans list. Look at the money he got, man. That's a lot of money for a guy I think only had like one touchdown last year.
Yeah, 3 years, $39 million.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, Gabe Davis as well.
Right. Well, Gabe Davis, another guy who the Titans were rumored to be looking at, right? And look at the money he got. Well, also, here's the other thing. We talk about all the money the running backs got, like Saquon and all those guys. And Darrell Mooney and Gabe Davis got more than all of them. It just tells you where the game's going, dude. It is as a collective. It tells you where the business is going. For the Titans, I mean, they're in a tough spot, man. I mean, they're not good. I mean, there's no way around it. There's no nice way to put it. I think a lot of their questions will be answered when we find out how good Will Levis is.
You know, NUBYJAS, you also make an interesting point, and I guess I'm curious what you have learned or gleaned strategy-wise with the offensive line. It was nice to see them kind of make a splash, as much as an offensive line can be splashy, I suppose. But that was a nice pickup because there's another side of this where you could have maybe just rested on your laurels and said, let's see what Bill Callahan can do to improve the guys we already have. And I think that's one strategy to do it. And who knows, maybe it could be a decent strategy, but it was refreshing to see them at least say, all right, we at least acknowledge that we have a little bit of a problem and have to go in and fix it. We may not be able to sign a whole new set of 5 guys. We may have to plug and play with what we got, but at least going out and getting 1 or 2 to maybe kind of kick things started seemed a little refreshing to me.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I thought it was a great move. I thought it was a good move getting Cushenberry. He comes highly recommended. The guy's got game. And like I said, he's an improvement over what they had in Brewer. Now, they still need help, but also I do want to see what Bill Callahan can do with some of these guys. I do, because here's the thing. Go look at what he did in Cleveland. They did not want to let him go. Kevin Stefanski did not want to let him go. If it would not have been for Brian being his son, Bill Callahan is still in Cleveland, man.
Yeah.
Or he would have had him retired. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, you don't want to hold nobody hostage. They weren't going to keep him from working with his son. But let's just say Brian Callahan had to take care of my man Kevin Stefanski on that one. So, and you could see where a lot of those Browns offensive linemen got better with Callahan, both in little things like footwork, hand positioning, a whole bunch of stuff that I wouldn't know nothing about, but they do. And just little things that they do that he can get people better if they buy it. Now, of course, you got to buy into it and all that stuff. Who knows? You got to train it off season. But there's a chance that line can get better just by having Callahan as a coach. And to me, of all the moves the Titans have made, I still say that is the best thing that they've done is getting that man as offensive line coach.
NUBYJAS WILBORN joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. NUBYJAS, we appreciate your insight as always and look forward to catching up with you again here soon as free agency, among other things, continue with the Titans.
Be good, boys. Thank y'all.
Thank
you
you,
do
brother.
the same. Hey, when we come back here on Main Street today, we're going to talk a little high school hoops. Mr. and Miss Basketball will be presented later this afternoon over at Murphy Center. We'll refresh you on who the candidates are for those and who's not one.
Hello.
And more here on Main Street Sports today in the Lee Company studios. Stay with us after this break.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA. With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Wade Neely, Maurice Patton, getting ready to swing into a little high school basketball because the boys' state tournament starts up tomorrow, bright and early, 9:30, with Class 4A quarterfinal action at the Murphy Center, Maryville and Cookeville. At 11 tomorrow, we've got Bartlett and Brentwood, followed by Rossview and Morristown East at 12:45. And then Class 4A reigning state runner-up Independence takes the floor at 2:15 against Laverne. Matchup of two mid-state squads. So, Wade, of those four, which one are you most looking forward to tomorrow?
You know, let me pull this back up here. The because I had a question for you, Mo. Let me get back to that first. I had a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
You and I were there all last week. You and I are going to be there all this week. And it just kind of entered my brain. What percentage of the TSSAA staff are they at all at D2 as well?
I've never been to the D2 tournament, to be honest, so I don't know what the staffing is like in Cookeville for the state.
Because I was just thinking, I was like, hey, we're grinding through last week. We're going to grind through this week. But I'm like, man, if they were ripping and running for 2 weeks before us, 3 weeks before us, holy smokes, man.
Yeah, because, you've got the D2 tournament, you've got the girls tournament, you've got the boys tournament after 2 weeks of wrestling state tournaments, by the way. And
there's like middle school mixed in there too. I'm sure there's at least 1 or 2 guys or girls that cross over and work that in some capacity, right?
Yep. They I would not advise looking for them on Sunday.
No. No.
So yeah.
And so you mentioned also back to 4A. I haven't had a chance to see really any 4A teams up close this year. Ironically, outside of Bartlett, who I've seen just on social media, I would just give them, based on the buzz factor, the nod. Maybe they're the team to beat. But then again, who knows? They had to survive a crazy game. I think it was in their regional semifinals. So I obviously would love to see Independence make some noise. Laverne's kind of cool that they're going to the tournament as well. So 4A is kind of wide open, in my opinion, even though it is the highest classification. And, like we saw with the girls, Bradley Central kind of dominated. I wouldn't be shocked if 4A is maybe one of the more wide open ones that we see this week.
I think it'll certainly be more wide open than 4A girls. I don't think there is a Bradley Central in 4A. Bartlett, as you mentioned, comes in at 31-4. They've got the most wins of anybody in the field. Independence is 29-6. Laverne making their first ever appearance. So congrats. I would figure they would be your favorite, Wade, the Wolverines.
I got a little love for Laverne. We, I got to support the Wolverines where I can. I think we're in line for a good one. And like you said, Bartlett could be there, but it feels like, Mo, and you can obviously speak to this better than I. It feels like there's, even in the years when you think you've got it figured out, the boys tournament more so than the girls, there's always an upset or two. It seems like a little more parity on the boys side.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think speaking of parity, Brentwood comes in. They tied for 5th in the regular season in District 10 4A, and they make it to the final 8. So kudos to Troy Bond and the Bruins up there. In 1A, I think the game that everybody is really looking forward to seeing is the lid lifter at 4 o'clock, Chattanooga Prep and Union City. But I'm telling you, don't sleep on the Wildcats, and we may be biased, but it doesn't make us wrong. Santa Fe has had a great season this year. We're going to talk a little bit more about one of their guys in particular here in a second, but they open up against North Green at 5:30. The final 2 games of the evening will be Gordonsville and Middle College out of Memphis at 7:15, and then Jellicoe and I think everybody's Cinderella, Frank Hughes, coming out of Clifton, Tennessee at 24-9.
Yep, and I've told a few people, and I've gotten a few other texts from others. Tomorrow at 4 o'clock, Chattanooga Prep and Union City, and then Santa Fe versus North Green at 5:30. I don't know that you're going to find a better back-to-back stretch in 2 games the rest of the tournament because I got to see Chattanooga Prep. They had a loaded team last year and made a little bit of a run, pretty much returning a lot of that team from last season. Union City, who was 2A last year, Giles County knocked them off in the sectional. They return a lot, including, as we'll discuss, a Mr. Basketball finalist themselves, and they dropped down to 1A. And then Santa Fe, no disrespect to North Green, but North Green had to go on the road and beat Harriman just to get to the state tournament. Right. And Santa Fe did as well at Wayne County. So 2 teams that won road sectionals. That seems like they got a little dog in them. So I think those 2 games back to back tomorrow, and I've got some friends in the area that are coming just to watch those 2. I think that's going to be the best maybe back-to-back set of games we might see all week.
Yeah. Thursday, 2A quarterfinal action. Whites Creek and Hickman County get it started at 9:30. This Hickman County team is deceptive, man. I saw them really shut down a Mount Pleasant team that really typically is a lot more potent offensively than they were last Monday night over in Centerville. So interested to see how well Hickman County is able to blanket Whites Creek defensively. I think that's going to kind of be the key for Hickman County in that one. The second game, Austin East and Douglas coming in undefeated at 33-0. And Wade, you have referred to 2A as the Douglas Invitational, and that may very well be the case. East Nashville and Alcoa in the third quarterfinal game at 12:45, and finally Cannon County and Ripley at 2:15, closing out the 2A quarterfinal round.
Yep. I think 2A is going to be a fun tournament for a couple reasons. Number one, Douglas, Alcoa did beat them more on Alcoa in a second. They beat them last year in the championship game by 1. Douglas eliminated Giles in the semifinals, and man, it was hard not to be impressed with the team that Douglas had. And stop us if you've heard this before. They return a lot of kids from last year. And I had a good friend of mine, former point guard. I got to give D Woods a shout out. He's a former MMC legend back in the day. And I texted him last year before the draw, or when the draw came out. And I said, what do you like? And he said, Power Center is good. And this was a quote that I'll never forget. He said, Douglas has been the talk of the town. And we were talking about a team in Memphis, especially 2A, being the, quote, talk of the town.
Right.
That kind of told me all I needed to know, and Alcoa got them. So they're back in the tournament, as is Alcoa. And the other thing with Alcoa, Mo, as you remember last year, they had a bloodbath. Really, all 3 of their games were just slobber knockers. They had a crazy game versus Pearl, who a lot of people thought might be the team to beat in the very first round. They beat them, and then they knocked off Brainerd by 3, and they beat Douglas by 1. So they earned that title last year. And, as the old saying goes, until somebody beats them, they're the champs, No
doubt. 3A quarterfinal action, 4 o'clock on Thursday. It's Creekwood and Red Bank, followed by David Crockett and Ridgeway. Ridgeway defeated Bolivar Central in that game that was suspended and resumed on Wednesday last week. Upperman and Hume Fogg at 7:15, and then Fayette Ware and Fulton at 8:45 on Thursday night, closing out the 3A quarterfinal round. Upperman's boys trying to follow their girls to the championship game.
That would be electric if they could pull that off. And I'll be curious. I haven't had a chance to see Cannon County. Obviously, they have made some noise, and obviously making it to Murfreesboro. They had to go into a hostile Loretto a couple of weeks ago and pulled out a big win. I think they play Summertown. Is that right? Or did I have that backwards?
No, they beat Loretto, I believe.
Beat Loretto at Loretto. The games were played at Loretto either way, but heard good things about them, so I'll be excited. I think the boys tournament, the ladies tournament was electric, and it actually delivered more drama than I thought we might see. There were a few teams that made some Cinderella runs, aka Loretto, and so I think the boys tournament, though, it's kind of wide open in several classes this year.
Yeah. At 5 o'clock today over at the Murphy Center, the Mr. and Miss Basketball Awards will be presented. Looking for local representation in particular. Daisy Gale from Providence Christian is a D2A Miss Basketball finalist. Dasha, she's from Knoxville Webb, sorry. Blair Bogus from Wayne County is up for Class 1A Miss Basketball. Murfreesboro Central's Addison Melton and White County's Celeste Reed are both 3A finalists. I guess you saw Melton, didn't you, Wade?
Yeah, and funnily enough, was filling out my ballot, and it was the day that they were due, and I had not had a chance to see Melton yet because we lost those games with the snow. And so I feel horrible, but I didn't nominate her. And I told Scott Stewart, our publisher here in Pulaski, I said, I don't know, maybe Murfreesboro's got a girl that I'm missing. We'll find out. And the second she got on the court, I said, oh yeah, I've made a mistake. And so props to her. She's had a great career. I think she's going to Lipscomb, if I remember correctly. And I got to see Celeste Reed at the region tournament. So she's a baller as well. So 2 really good 3A candidates there.
Well, she didn't need your help, apparently. In
No.
Class 4A.
I felt a little better once I saw she made it without my services there.
There you go. Clarksville's Amari Berry, the Clemson signee, as a finalist, as is Bradley Central sophomore Kamora Fields, and she every bit lived up to that and then some last week in the 4A state tournament. In Division 2A on the Mr. Basketball side, you've got Jaden Jones from Good Pasture, Kavian Jones from Battleground Academy. Brentwood Academy's Tyler Tanner, the Vanderbilt signee, is a D2 AA finalist. I believe he won it last year. Let's see. And Independence's Jet Montgomery is a 4A Mr. Basketball finalist. Absent from Class 1A, and we pointed this out when the list was initially revealed a couple of weeks ago, but we have an update. He's still absent, by the way, Alden Slaughter of Santa Fe. All he has done since that announcement was made is average 37 points in 6 postseason games.
Oof.
Which is up from his regular season average of 34.8.
Yeah, he's getting better as the year has gone on.
As the games mean more.
Right. And we kind of touched on it then, and I still just am scratching my head because you usually see this. You sometimes see a guy get nominated if they're on the best team, or you sometimes see a guy if they just put up circus-like numbers, and he's doing both. He's on a team that's here in Murfreesboro, a really good team, and is also putting up circus numbers. I just don't know how you don't leave him off. I'm fine with Jordan McCullum being on there. He's going to go to Murray State out of Harriman. Malachi Brooks is a really good kid from 2A last year. Don't know anything about Jordan Allen, so I guess if we were to have to scratch somebody, I'd probably scratch him. They didn't make it out of their region tournament this year. But yeah, Alden not being there, that's tough. And he's taking it to heart. And it's one of those things, obviously the gold ball would mean more. But man, you got to feel a little slighted too when you don't see your name on that list.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a what more could I do? And maybe he's kind of answering that here. So we'll see how that goes tomorrow. When we come back here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, we're going to stay with hoops. We're going to take it up a notch, talk a little college basketball here from the Lee Company Studios. When we come back, stay with us.
Welcome to Protein Snack Shop, your destination for healthy and delicious low-carb snacks. Our specialty lies in providing protein-packed desserts that are perfect for those following a keto diet. Our products are made with high-quality ingredients, ensuring that you can satisfy your cravings without compromising your health goals. From a variety of flavors and options to choose from, you can enjoy guilt-free snacking while staying on track with your fitness journey. Don't miss out on our limited time offer. Discover Protein Snack Shop today.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones and Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones and Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Welcome back to the second hour. Well, 10 minutes into the second hour, but the second hour nonetheless of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton, joined by Wade Neely. Getting ready to talk a little college basketball and scrolling through Twitter as we are wont to do. Wade, we were just talking about Clarksville Class 4A Miss Basketball finalist Amari Berry.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll be interested to see what the impact is of former Mount Juliet standout Amanda Butler being dismissed at Clemson earlier today. Clemson made one NCAA tournament appearance in Butler's 6 seasons, during which she went 81-106. 12-19 this year, 5-13 in ACC play. The program's only NCAA tournament appearance came her first year in 2019. So Amanda Butler is out at Clemson. Again, former Mount Juliet standout, played her college ball down at Florida. Always hate to see people lose a job. And again, this will... I mean, I don't know what's going to happen as far as Barry's collegiate situation now with this. You always kind of wonder about that when a coach that you sign with is suddenly not there. So I would imagine that'll be something to keep an eye on. Little brighter news, though. The Sporting News named their All-American team earlier today, and surprise, surprise, Dalton Connect is on it. I know that caught you a little off guard.
You know, I'm picking my jaw up off the floor, partner.
Yeah. 2 unanimous picks on this team from among R.J. Davis from North Carolina, Zach Edey of Purdue, Tristan Newton of Connecticut, Jamal Sheed of Houston, and Dalton Connect. Edey was one of your unanimous picks, and the other was Connect. So,
and I love the headline or the lead here from the Sporting News. You know, we if we told you in the preseason Edey would be a unanimous selection, you'd say, yeah, of course. And if we would have said the other unanimous selection would have been Dalton Connect, you would have said Dalton who?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, this guy has taken college basketball by storm this season, and it started out, you know, as a homegrown movement, and we started picking up on it. And it's not like the guy's just been slowing down. I mean, he is just putting up eye-popping numbers, kind of like the, you know, Auden Slaughter situation. He's putting up crazy numbers for a team that just keeps winning games. And it's been fun to watch, and he is a dynamic performer. Don't think he's really got a shot, probably just with Edey with the track record, obviously, in Purdue. It's not like they're a slouch by any means at Player of the Year. But seeing him land as pretty much unanimous first-team All-American, I think that is that's, in my opinion, that's probably the biggest story of college basketball when you talk about an individual performance this year.
Second team All Big Sky a year ago at Northern Colorado. Second team.
Bonkers.
From second team All Big Sky to unanimous All-American in a year. I
mean, I think about this, though. Is that not a huge potential recruiting tool, or kind of speaks to the college basketball game at large? If you are a player, they will find you. And if you can find the right system, if you can find the right buy-in, and if you've got the game, it doesn't matter if you're at Northern Colorado, if you're at insert school here.
Mm-hmm.
And especially, this is kind of one of the benefits, I guess, if you will, of the transfer portal, and kind of where we've gotten that it's a little easier and it's a little more mainstream and, accepted now to transfer. I don't know without the transfer portal if Dalton Connect exists in our lives right now.
Well, sure, because, he played JUCO ball, then he's at Northern Colorado, and now he's at Tennessee. And, yeah, I think obviously you have to give him a little bit of credit, because he could have stayed and been a big fish in a small pond at Northern Colorado, or he could challenge himself the way he did and, bet on himself and come into arguably the best conference in college basketball and do what he's done. And he's had 3 games of 39 points or more. He's got 6 games of 30 points or more. And oftentimes Tennessee has needed all those points, and the 40-point game wasn't enough. He has been something special to watch. I think he has really made Tennessee basketball this season really must-see TV.
And he's adding that extra hope factor, obviously, now for the Vols fans, because that's the one thing that's kind of always eluded Tennessee seemingly in these last couple of years. And we're almost kind of painting the narrative into a corner here. We're going to see it happen probably, but all year long we've heard is this is the piece that Tennessee is needed. When games get tight, when you need a bucket, they haven't had that one dude that can just go out and get you a bucket, and Connect has been that guy this year. So obviously, naturally, here in about 3 weeks, this situation will play out, and he'll either miss a shot or they won't get a pass to him, unfortunately. And, hopefully not too many people will clip this. Hey, the other quick highlight of all this, talk about good fortune. This is one of the weakest NBA draft classes in recent memory. Mm-hmm. And NBADraft.net currently has Connect projected as the 3 pick. To the Spurs, by the way. Talk about a front court tandem, but with him and Wemby down there.
Right.
But talk about that. From a second team All Big Sky to first team All-American and potentially, a top 5 pick for sure. Top 3 pick, most likely.
Top 3 pick. Like. Yeah.
So talk about cashing in. You mentioned betting on yourself. This is one of the all-time great success stories right here for Dalton.
All the chips are in the middle of the table for Dalton Connect. Tennessee slides a spot to 5 in this week's AP poll behind Houston, UConn, Purdue, and North Carolina. It's crazy. I really don't know how you penalize a team for going 3-1 through that gauntlet of Auburn, Alabama, South Carolina, and Kentucky. But, at this point, it's all kind of gravy anyway. They're going into the SEC tournament this week as the number 1 seed and still a strong candidate to be on the number 1 line for the NCAA. So I'm not sure at this point how much poll rankings mean, but Tennessee is 5th this week behind North Carolina, ahead of Arizona, which also lost over the weekend. Iowa State, Creighton, Kentucky up 6 spots to number 9. Marquette is at 10. Duke, Auburn, Illinois, Baylor, South Carolina are 11 through 15. Kansas drops 2 more spots to 16. Gonzaga, Utah State, Alabama, and BYU. And rounding out the top 25, you've got St. Mary's, Washington State, Nevada, Dayton, and Texas Tech. So that is this week's men's top 25. I wonder if there will be one next week. I would assume there will. So
I would think so, but I can't remember. And, it's obviously we have nothing but respect for our friends of the Associated Press. But at that point, these things tend really not to matter, because usually anybody that's in the top 25, unless it's a team like we saw a few weeks ago, Indiana State, who fell to Drake over the weekend.
Yeah. We
really don't concern ourselves too much.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to speaking with Joe Sullivan tomorrow in the second hour. I'm sure he will be wearing his black for Indiana State, as we are on pins and needles to see what happens with them on Sunday. Women's poll, surprise, surprise. South Carolina's 1. Iowa 2, Southern Cal moves up 2 spots to 3. Stanford falls 2 spots to 4, and Texas is at 5. UCLA, Ohio State, LSU, Notre Dame, after winning the Atlantic Coast Conference tournament, is at 9. UConn rounds out the top 10, down a spot. NC State, Oregon State, Virginia Tech, Gonzaga, and Indiana are 11 through 15. Kansas State, Oklahoma, Colorado, Baylor, and Utah are 16 through 20. Rounding it out is UNLV, Syracuse, Creighton, Louisville breaking into the top 25 at number 24, and Fairfield at 25. So
Fairfield,
there's your women's.
Just hanging in there at 25.
Yeah. So South Carolina hanging in there at number 1. Again, Tennessee so close and yet so far on Saturday in the semifinals. That was a tough one. But those are your AP top 25s. We're going to take a break here on Main Street Sports Today. And when we come back, we will be joined by the Blue Raider voice, Chip Walters. So stay with us when we return to the Lee Company studios after these messages. Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Welcome to Protein Snack Shop, your destination for healthy and delicious low-carb snacks. Our specialty lies in providing protein-packed desserts that are perfect for those following a keto diet. Our products are made with high-quality ingredients, ensuring that you can satisfy your cravings without compromising your health goals. From a variety of flavors and options to choose from, you can enjoy guilt-free snacking while staying on track with your fitness journey. Don't miss out on our limited time offer. Discover Protein Snack Shop today.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
It's Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Nice bumper music there, Mark. I like that. Final segment of the day will be Wade and I sharing our top 5 sports skirmishes. But before we get to that, fellow MTSU alumnus who knows a thing or two about skirmishes, the Blue Raider voice, Chip Walters, joins us here. Chip, good afternoon.
How are you?
Look at you out and about enjoying the sun.
Well, I'm how far? I'm 2.5 miles from my hotel, I think. I'm pulling into Huntsville, so
Okay, cool.
and it appears I'm about to go buy a Top Golf here.
Nice. I didn't know if you
Swing
would
on
be-
in there, Chip.
Yeah. Oh,
Ah,
no, you didn't.
swing! I got it. I see what you did there.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I had to.
Yeah. Wow. Well, Chip, it's interesting that you are heading to Huntsville as we speak, or you're in Huntsville as we speak, because obviously the men and the women will be there for the Conference USA basketball tournament this week. Remind us who plays when, because then I got a question for you.
The women will play at 11:30 tomorrow morning against the winner of tonight's game between UTEP and somebody.
We stumped him.
Yep, it's not FIU, but they will play at 11:30 in the morning against the winner of the 8-9 game, and then the men will play tomorrow night in a rematch of last Saturday's tilt with Louisiana Tech, and that'll be at somewhere scheduled for 8:00 tomorrow night.
That's kind of tough.
It is. I mean, it is because that's they're not a great matchup for Middle, and on top of that, you just look at them from a talent standpoint. I mean, they've got the player of the year in the conference. They've got the newcomer of the year, and both of those guys are first team all conference. The one thing I will say, however, is that Louisiana Tech typically plays different in a good way at home than they do when they're away from their building. I mean, the game in Murfreesboro was tied with about 2 minutes to play, and that was at a point in the year when Middle was not playing very well. And I'm not going to say that Middle played their best last Saturday either, but again, on the road, and Middle's had its troubles on the road. But I think if you look all up and down Conference USA, outside of Louisiana Tech and Sam Houston, and in particular Sam Houston, that everybody has struggled on the road this year, and that's been all across college basketball. So to me, I would feel more. I feel more confident about whoever we play in the second round, more so than the challenge that the first round matchup has, because number one, it's the number 2 seed, and the way you end up tied for fourth, just literally 2 spots behind them in the standings, but due to tiebreakers and all that, you end up with the number 7 seed.
That's tough. The winner of Louisiana Tech Middle Tennessee State would play the winner of number 3 seed Western Kentucky, number 6 New Mexico State in a Friday semifinal matchup at 2:00. So yeah, tough sledding for the Blue Raiders, but if they can get past this first one, things might open up a little bit for them. Again, on the women's side, MTSU plays at 11:30 on tomorrow against the winner of tonight's 8-9 matchup between UTEP and Sam Houston.
There you go. I knew it was but yeah, UTEP and Sam Houston tonight, and the conference awards came out earlier this week, and and I will say this, that the voters, I'm glad they didn't take out whatever frustrations they have on the kids, and Middle had, on the women's side, had 5 that won awards, whether it was a superlative or all conference award, and but obviously, the whole thing on Coach of the Year has, it will be on the forefront of the minds on several thousand Middle fans who will be in Huntsville this week. And I've heard the phrase "poke the bear" more than a few times over the last 24 hours.
It will be on the minds of the fans. My question, Chip, is will it be on the minds of the players? And I mean, as coach, I don't know how you necessarily approach that if you're Rick Insell. I mean, is that a with him?
I don't. If I was him, I wouldn't even mention it, because your kids are smart enough to know, and they go on social media. I'd never even bring it up. I mean, they see enough of it from people they follow or people who follow them on social media. They know what the story is, and I think at that point, then they go out and they handle their business. So, but I do think that there will be a little spice if it ends up, and it's not any fault of the FIU coach at all. It's because. But that award is voted on by fellow coaches, and it's a little catty, a little petty, it's always, if you don't want him to beat you and his teams to beat you, go recruit better, and that's always been kind of the message out there. And I did an interview with him yesterday that will air on my show in the morning. And we talked about how they have closed out games strongly and pushed leads out. And he talked about the fact that the NCAA, with the net ranking formula, he says, if we've got a 25-point lead and I empty my bench with 5 minutes to go and we win by 12, we get punished for that. And from the formula standpoint, he goes, our goal is to get in the NCAA tournament every year. That's what I want to do. Our kids understand that. And, he's very open about that. And like I said, he talked about it, gave a very comprehensive answer to talk about that that'll be on my show in the morning.
And Chip, you made a great point, and we had a little bit of a issue kind of like this with UT Southern this year. Their men's basketball team had a very similar trajectory as the Middle ladies. they got the Coach of the Year award, but they had a couple guys that probably should have been on the first team that ended up on second, or one or two were even omitted. So I'm kind of like in agreement with you when you say that at least the kids kind of receive the recognition they deserve. If somebody's going to have to bear the short end of the stick there, I suppose you at least want it to be the coach.
Yeah, I mean, he's out of room for, on his trophy. He's in 7 halls of fame. I know, and we all like, recognition and that kind of thing, but they have done him a favor that they probably did not want to do.
Hashtag unintended consequences.
That's correct. And so it will be interesting to see how, they have proven already that they can remain focused on the task at hand. And that was over a 16 game, 3-month schedule. Now they're looking at 3 games in a span of 4 days. So, I don't think lack of focus will be a problem there. And I think the young ladies, that's a very close group. It's a really special team, and their chemistry is very remindful of the Alicia Clark teams, with that whole group, and I think that they're going to play for him as well as themselves, but I think they'll play to prove a point as well.
And Chip, you and I are old enough to know that Rick's got a little experience with this going back to his days at Shelbyville.
He does. And, he's never apologized for a win. And I know there's some folks in my hometown that still have, that have some umbrage for, for some spreads of games, along the way. And he's never apologized for those. And now this is a different stage. And I think they feel like they've got a team in particular with the right matchups. They've got a team that can do a little damage in the tournament. So job 1 is to go get the win tomorrow. Job 1A and 1B is win on Friday and Saturday and punch your ticket.
Right. The Blue Raider voice, Chip Walters, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Chip, men's and women's basketball isn't all that's going on campus or off campus. The baseball team got a series win over St. Bonaventure over the weekend, and they are playing Southern Indiana here in about 23 minutes, I guess.
That's correct. They've won 3 out of 4 weekend series now, and it'd be nice to get another non-conference win today before going to FIU to open up conference play. Your guy Briggs Rudder has been hitting around 500 here early in the season, and he has been a big part of the offense for sure. But yeah, they've got game today. Softball has a doubleheader. The old long-standing rivalry between Middle and South Dakota gets renewed today over at Observatory Park, as I like to call it.
Nice.
So,
what's the all-time series in that one, Chip?
I think it will be first meeting. I think that's what it'll probably say. But I could be wrong. They may have met somewhere at some tournament somewhere along the way. But if I had to put a shekel on it, I would probably say this might. I bet it's the first time they've ever been to Murfreesboro. That would be my big guess.
There we go. I interrupted Wade. Accidentally, I guess. Wade.
No, well, I was just going to ask. I was just going to ask Chip. We've talked about the vibes of the teams and the coaches themselves, but paint the picture for us. You had mentioned a few weeks ago that there's kind of some cool action going on in regards to the fan base and kind of some events going to be taking place in Huntsville this week.
That's right. I think the city of Huntsville, Alabama, is going to do a great job of hosting the Von Braun Civic Center complex, and we're talking more than just the arena, has a lot of things available there, a lot of space for each school to do functions and all kinds of things. Matter of fact, tomorrow at 2:00, which will be right after the women play, and well before the men play, there'll be the MTSU National Alumni Association will be at Rhythm on Monroe, which is part of the complex there. It's a restaurant / rooftop bar. It'll be a cash bar, alumni event with hors d'oeuvres and stuff like that. Just a get together after the women's game and before the men's game. And then on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night at the Mars Music Hall, again, part of the Von Braun Civic Center complex, really cool music venue. They will have a free show on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights at 8:00, and different kind of music every night, different band every night. So, and that's free to anybody, ticket or no ticket. Just come out and have a good time. And you got 4 games a day. You got 2 today, then 4 games on Wednesday, 4 games on Thursday, 4 games on Friday, and 2 championship games on Saturday. And, everybody that plays tomorrow, if you win, you have Thursday off. So, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of tickets to the Space and Rocket Center and Punched and other things like that, because there's a lot to do here in Huntsville, Alabama.
We obviously are praying and hoping for good vibes and wins all week. What's the mood? Are most people thinking about driving every day, or we got some folks just go ahead and saying, you know what, I'm just going to get a room for the whole week?
Well, I can tell you this, that Middle did sell out of its total tournament booklets, sold out of their allotment. And I think, I think the biggest part of the people are going to come down. They're either coming down today, or they'll come down in the morning, go to the women's game, and then check in their hotel for however many nights. Could be that folks drive. I mean, I think there's going to be a good mixture of things, because again, both teams would be off on Thursday should they win. Mm-hmm. So there's the possibility of going back home for that and then coming back for Friday and Saturday. So I do know there's some people who have tee times already scheduled for Thursday, and it's going to be 78 degrees and sunshiny. So there's those kind of activities available as well. And Lake Guntersville is not far from here, and there may be some people who wet a line. There's you never know what's going to go on.
So who are you playing with?
I am not one of those that has a tee time.
Oh, really?
I am not. No.
Okay. If you can get on at the ledges down there, that's the hot ticket in town, I've been told.
All right. Good info to have. Always good info to have. The men right now are at practice. They're over at UAH, and they've got about 45 minutes left in their practice, and I'm about to go, like I said, get to the hotel and connect with Coach Turnham, and we'll hopefully we're on the list to go to dinner with the men tonight, because they're going to a steakhouse this evening. So we'll
be on that list.
Do a little politicking here if need be. So
yeah, they need to take care of the voice and arguably one of the better color analysts you'll come across in Kyle Turnham. So
by the way, Saturday, one other little tidbit before we close out. The 16th on Saturday, you know what else? Spring football starts.
Oh.
So there's that. Okay. April 23rd will be the spring game.
Spring game. Okay. All right.
Yep.
That's good knowledge. Also, Chip, you dropped a little nugget on your Facebook earlier this morning.
Late last night, actually.
Was it late last night? Okay.
Yeah, March 11th is the day.
March 11th is the day.
Yesterday.
42 years ago.
That's right.
Memorial Gym. Middle Tennessee State. Kentucky. What was that final score again? Because I forgot.
it would be 50-44. It was tied 30-30 at halftime, and if Middle had hit their free throws, they would have blown Kentucky out. But only gave up 14 points in the second half. But that was a Kentucky team with that had Derek Horde, Melvin Turpin, Dirk Minifield, Jim Master.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good Kentucky team. The Blue Raider lineup: Edward Pancakes Perry of Murray City, Tennessee, was the point guard. Chris Harris, Rick Campbell, Buck Haley, and two-time OVC Player of the Year Jerry Beck, who was, for my money, until Reggie Upshaw came along, was the best to ever don a Blue Raider uniform.
Now that's Chris Harris, current Rutherford County Schools Athletics Director, Chris Harris, right?
That is correct.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
50-44 Middle over Kentucky in the opening round of the NCAAs in 1982. History making in that it interrupted a potential Louisville Kentucky matchup when they didn't play. They had not played in about 30 years, and that was, it looked to be all the setup. Of course, there were 48 teams in the field then, so Louisville had gotten a bye, and so they were all just waiting, and there are a lot of Middle fans who had bought tickets for Saturday that sold them to Kentucky fans before the Kentucky games, the Middle UK game started, that got them back for free after the game, and there were numerous briefcases that I saw full of tickets for the potential Saturday game of Kentucky and Louisville. And of course, there were no tickets on your phone then. It was all hard tickets. And I mean, there were deals being cut and tickets being bought back for pennies on the dollar to get ready for Louisville. That was my senior year at Franklin. Me and three friends, we went to that ball game, and we were offered triple digits for our tickets, for our booklet. And
in 1982, that was a lot. That was a lot of money.
That was a lot of money. That was a lot of money for a 17-year-old. Yeah. And for some stupid reason, I turned it down and went in the game instead, and saw one of the best games that you'll see. So, yeah. Yep. Good day, March 11th.
March 11th. I celebrate it every year.
There we go.
I will tell you how lucky I was. I was a freshman in college, got to witness that, and then, here years later, got to call the Michigan State game. So the two biggest wins in program history, and if you want to add a third in there, a win at UCLA, as well. And here's the trivia question that'll win you a beer somewhere. Is who's the only school that is undefeated against Kentucky and UCLA in basketball?
That's solid. That's solid.
That is
Wade will
stat.
Wade will be putting that one to use here somewhere pretty soon. The Blue Raider voice, Chip Walters, joining us as he does almost every Tuesday on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Chip, go get your charts ready and everything else for tomorrow's 11:30 tip, and we will catch up with you next week.
All right. See you, boys.
Thank you, Chip.
When we come back on Main Street Sports Today, it's the final segment, and it's Tuesday, so you know what that means. Top 5 sports skirmishes. Stay with us when we come back to the Lee Company studios after this break. I'm Maurice Patton, and on Main Street Sports Today, we bring you the voices of your favorite teams from preps to pros. Otherwise known as the VOT, Mike Keith.
The bottom line is we can teach Will Levis woke.
I just don't know who's going to work with you on your base stealing now that Eli's gone.
Well, that has nowhere to go but up. And I was just like, oh, guys, not again. Can we just bury that, burn that footage, and not bring it back?
No. No.
Thank you. We'll keep it going past the All-Star break, and looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season plays out. There's always a good story to tell.
Can you guess where I am today, Mo? Where am I?
It's not Reese Smith Field, is it?
Yeah.
Because anytime you play Chicago, you want to win. That's just
you got that right, and
that's bottom
there's
line.
be a buzz.
When you're walking the dog, you keep the bags that you need for the dog in the bag, and you don't even have to wear it. You can just hold it, which is what I do when I walk the dog. So
I think the fanny pack probably needed a little rebranding.
It did. It really did.
On your show logo, we've got to get a puck in there. There's a basketball. There's a football. There's a baseball. Maybe it's not a puck. How about Mo brandishes a hockey stick?
Tune in daily at 2 p.m. on Main Street Media TV.
Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Maurice Patton, Wade Neely, reflecting back on the weekend's events over in Greenville, South Carolina. We are going to give you our top 5 sports skirmishes. And feel free to hit us up with yours at ms_sports today. Love to get your reactions to these and whatever stands out to you along those lines as well. Wade, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Let's start this party. I guess before we go any further, it should be pointed out these are impromptu skirmishes and not we're not talking boxing, we're not talking wrestling, we're not talking MMA. These are
these are skirmishes that weren't by design. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I got to go right off the top. As I was checking, make sure I didn't leave anything off my list here. Got to go right off the top. Malice at the Palace. I mean, and that was, you could have a top 5 moments of Malice at the Palace alone. I mean, there's about 4 or 5 different particular clips from that whole night and that whole scene that could have made this list as is, but I'm just going to lump it all together. And obviously, and most of these, unfortunately, are kind of not very becoming to the sports. But that's one you won't forget, and an iconic rumble, as it were.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to go off the rip back to 1993.
I think I know where you're going.
Yeah. Well, if 93 didn't tell you where I was going, this next phrase will. Nolan Ryan.
I know my man Mo.
Robin Ventura. I didn't realize that was Nolan Ryan's final season. Not only was it his final season, that was his final hit batter of his illustrious major league career. Came up and into Robin Ventura. Robin took umbrage, as Chip said in our last segment. Went to the mound, wished he hadn't.
That's a clip that gets played forever and forever and will live forever and ever. Give us the quick backstory on that. Nolan Ryan's, he doesn't just lose control of a ball like that unless he wants it to go there, right?
You would think, and that's what Robin thought. And apparently Ventura had an RBI base hit in his previous at bat. And so there is certainly some conjecture as to whether that was one that got away or whether that one went exactly where it was supposed to.
We played the clip of Roger Clemens getting one crushed off him yesterday. I wonder if his next batter, if he didn't throw one high and tight on the Savannah Bananas, I guess.
It would certainly fit his history. Yeah.
He's
been
involved in some good ones.
He has indeed.
That was high on my list, Mo. Good pull there.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Next one for me. This is another one that's an unfortunate situation, and I wasn't even alive for this one. You go back to 77. with the Lakers and Rudy Tomjanovich, Kermit Washington. I mean, they call it the punch. What was it? John Feinstein's got the book. I haven't read it, but I've got a copy of the book. And I mean, that was just an ugly scene all around. But if you've not seen that clip or you're not familiar, it was a lethal punch. And I mean, it jacked Rudy T up for a long time.
It really did. He had all sorts of facial surgery as a result of that one. That's a good one. I'd forgotten about that one, honestly. Yeah.
That's one that just stuck out. Like I said, I didn't want to have to do it, but that's just one that sticks out in my mind.
Well, staying in baseball, 2016, Jose Bautista again took umbrage at something that the Rangers had done, slid late into second base. Rougned Odor took umbrage to the late slide and eventually threw a punch that literally knocked Bautista's sunglasses off of his face. Yeah, that was some ugliness there. But
baseball's got some good fights. But I've mentioned my favorite thing about baseball fights is when all 50 guys, come running out and they just bounce around in a circle by the end of it. And usually we don't get any good action, right?
More often than not, it's just a little milling around and pushing and shoving and that kind of thing. Every now and then you actually see folks squaring off and punches thrown, but that's more the exception than the rule in baseball.
And that's why I like a good baseball fight. Yeah, whenever things actually pop off for real. And that one,
it popped off. Yeah.
Oh yeah, big lick there, as they say. Up next for me, I've got a few that are not basketball, so I'm gonna go ahead and get this one out of the way. This is an iconic moment. The fight in and of itself is maybe not the iconic moment, but what about Jeff Van Gundy just clinging to the leg of Alonzo Mourning in the 98? That was a great rivalry, that kind of doesn't have the same luster that it used to, but the Heat and the Knicks back in the day, and Jeff Van Gundy just clinging to the leg. I'll never forget that.
That picture is, as you said, iconic. It really is. That's something to see. If you're not familiar, you can probably just Google Jeff Van Gundy and Alonzo Mourning. It probably pops up immediately. So, yeah. My number 3, because I'm saving a couple here, but 2010, I guess it was probably Adelphia Coliseum at that point more than Nissan Stadium. But Andre Johnson. Well, I started to say Andre Johnson and Cortland Finnegan, but basically it was Andre Johnson. And Finnegan was just a victim there, to the point of Andre taking his helmet off and swinging it at Finnegan. It was bad, and it was terribly, terribly one-sided, but that was quite memorable, to say the least.
That was getting ready to be my next pick, and that's a day that Cortland Finnegan, he wish he wouldn't have done what he did that day.
Yeah.
Woof. You want these hands? Guess what? You're gonna get these hands.
He got those hands, and he got all the smoke, and I don't think he wanted any of it, unfortunately. But it is what it is. Yeah. Mark, our producer, checking in with Allison and Yarbrough at the 1979 Daytona 500, and that was, speaking of skirmishes that were not anticipated. Yeah, that's a pretty good one. Wade, number 4.
And I don't have any NASCAR on my list, but that's another sport that it seems like there's a little bit of always the posturing and the grandstanding, but when they actually do get to squaring off, it can produce some fireworks. So good call from producer Mark there. I had Cortland Finnegan and Andre up next, so I'm going to pivot. My mom's family's from Michigan. That's why I'm a big Michigan fan. And so we got a lot of Red Wings fans in our family. And go back to 1997 at the height of the Red Wings and the Avalanche rivalry. And this is when you know it's a good brawl, when you got the two goalies facing off as Patrick Waugh and Chris Osgood squared up.
Oh, the goalies.
Okay. The goalies came out to fight. Everybody else had already fought. They were the only two left.
Okay. My number 4 is 1986 Eblin Center, Cookeville, Tennessee, MTSU and Tech. They fought on the court. They fought off the court in the tunnel where both teams have to go through the same tunnel. Yeah, it was ugly. Number 5, Wade.
Number 5, give me Miami versus Florida International.
Good one.
2006. That's a YouTube rabbit hole that you can go down and watch it. Massive brawl.
Yeah. My number 5 to wrap it up is 1990 Murphy Center, MTSU, Tennessee Tech. It was, you can see that one on YouTube as well. It was pretty, it was bad. It was bad.
They didn't get along, you're telling me.
They did not. They did not. No, that's our Top 5 Tuesday brought to you by Mid-South 5 Fitness, SteelAthletes.com. Dallas Steel will get you taken care of. Go see them. 2 locations, Franklin, Columbia. Come see us tomorrow at 2 o'clock. We'll see you then.